Hello and welcome to Wealth Mastery. Unlock your mind, your money, and your marketing 3-day free coaching experience. I'm your host, Tara Best, and I'm a business and mindset coach, podcast host, a #1 best-selling author, a farmer's wife, and a horse and dog mum. And I live on a farm here in the Cotswolds. Now, over the next 3 days, I'm really excited to help you really start to shift your belief system, really start to look at money-making opportunities and how you can really build your brand this year. I absolutely believe with all of my heart it is such a good time in business, and I'm actually really excited to bring some ideas, some concepts, some thoughts, and hopefully give you some motivation and inspiration to really continue to show up, thrive, and get ready to actually kickstart June with the most amazing vibe and most amazing intention. Now, over the next 3 days, we are going to be working on our mindset, then our money, then our marketing, but actually it's all going to tie together. Now, you have access to these audios, to these 3 videos that I'm going to do over the next 3 days until next Wednesday, the 5th of June. Once that date is here, the videos, the audios, everything is gone. So please do try to immerse in this experience, listen to what you need to listen to, scribble some notes, really listen to things a couple of times if that feels good to you. I've tried to create this so that it's short, snappy, bite-sized, fun pieces that you can just dip in and out of throughout your day. But each day I'm going to start the day with a video, and that video is to really set the context of the day. So today I'm actually going to talk to you a little bit about mindset. Now, I know we've got many people in here who are current clients, past clients, who are in current programs with me, who have maybe read my book, and some brand new people as well. But I wanted to kind of go through in this session, over the next sort of 15, 20 minutes or so, what is actually really important when it comes to your mindset, and actually explain the science behind how our minds and our brain actually functions. Because for me, that was when I really grasped mindset work and when I was really able to fully understand it. Because the truth is, when I fell into this world completely by accident back in October 2018, my identity at the time and my view at the time was, I'm a horsey girl, I live on a farm, there is no way I'm doing this. This is absolute bollocks. Like, what a load of fucking crap was my exact thoughts. But my then coach really encouraged me to stick with it and invited me to be open-minded to it. And honestly, it has changed my life. But for me, it was understanding the science and the biology and understanding how my brain is wired that made this work make sense for me. So if you've been in my world a while, this might sound a little bit repetitive. You will have heard me say this before, but I think actually it's really important that we keep reminding ourselves of this. Every time I teach this, I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking cool. Like, our minds are so cool in terms of what they do and how we can work with them, and crucially, how we can shift them and elevate them. So you might have heard people say mind, you might have heard people say brain. Your brain is the physical thing that you can actually see. You can see the neural pathways. You can see how it is formed. You can take it out of your head and place it on the table, and you can actually see your brain. The mind is not something you can actually see. So your thoughts are not something you can see. Your beliefs are not something you can see. The memories and emotions that are stored in your brain, you can't actually see them. You couldn't put them on the table and actually see them. And it's actually the mind that we are working with, but we're working with our mind in unison with the brain and how it is formed. So your mindset, so that is your beliefs, your thoughts, your habits, memories, and emotions, were set completely subconsciously when you were less than 7 years old. So as a young person, you're going about your day, you're playing with your toys, you're playing in the garden, you're picking worms out the soil, you're doing whatever you were doing as a young child. You were listening to what was going on around you. You were picking up on clues, picking up on signs. You were hearing people talking about certain things. And you were therefore subconsciously forming beliefs. Now, those things that you heard impacted the beliefs that you then hold. So if you heard people having debates or fighting or arguments about something, subconsciously you will form a belief that whatever they are fighting about is bad, because that thing is causing an argument, which is an uncomfortable experience to witness as a child. Perhaps you heard somebody say, oh, don't put your fingers in your mouth after touching money because money's dirty. And you thought, oh God, that's bad. Like, dirty when you're a child isn't seen as a good thing. So subconsciously you might think, oh my gosh, well, money's bad. And as you then go into a business, if you still have that subconscious belief that don't put money in your mouth, don't put your hands in your mouth after touching money because money's dirty, you form the belief that money's bad. When you then go into a business, it's going to be a lot harder for you to unlock the wealth that you desire because you've got this deep-rooted subconscious belief. And again, we're going to work through all of this, so have no fears. Maybe you heard somebody say, oh, be quiet, we don't want to hear you, or be quiet, we don't want to hear what you've got to say, or stop crying. Any of these things can make you build a subconscious belief. And that subconscious belief could be, I can't say what's on my mind. I can't speak up. I can't be my authentic self. I can't put myself out there. If you've heard somebody say, you should be seen and not heard, that's going to make you feel like you can't say what you want to say. You can't say what's on your heart. So again, all of these things were such fly away, pass away, like passing comments that people say that as children we hear, and it then forms a belief. So what happens is you formed these beliefs when you were less than 7 years old. And the reason they were formed at that point was because your brain waves were in a theta brainwave state. What that means is that when you were less than 7, your brain waves were like a sponge, so just absorbing. If you put a sponge in a bucket of water and it absorbs all of that water, that's exactly how your brain waves were when you were less than 7 years old. So as a child, your brain is absorbing everything. Now, when it was at that state, when you're in the theta brainwave state, your brain cannot be analytical. So it doesn't know right from wrong. It has no discernment. It can't be logical. It can't be analytical. It doesn't know whether something's good, whether something's bad, whether something's right, whether something's wrong. It just absorbs. But what is one of the most amazing things, and this still amazes me to this day, is that every single day, even as an adult now, every single day in your first waking hour, your mind is also in the theta brainwave state. So your first 60 minutes from when you first wake up, so whether you lie in bed, whether you get straight up and you're up and at 'em and downstairs and doing all the things, that first 60 minutes that you are awake in your day, your brain waves are in the exact same place. They're absorbing. They're not analytical. They aren't able to discern right from wrong, good from bad. They're just absorbing. But crucially, and this is where we can really, really start to shift our belief system, in your first waking hour, you can actually rewire your brain. So when the brain waves are in the theta brainwave state, they are highly, highly, highly suggestible. So something that was actually designed when you were younger to kind of keep you safe, being highly suggestible, just being able to absorb everything that you listen to, that can actually be used to your benefit as an adult. So in your first waking hour, when your brainwaves are in the theta brainwave state, they're highly, highly suggestible. They're just absorbing. They're just able to be rewired. They're just listening to what is going on, or what you're putting into it, or what you're listening to, or the thoughts that you're having. So in your first waking hour of every single day, as an adult human, you have the ability and the potential to rewire your brain. So my first kind of invitation for you, and we're going to be discussing this a lot throughout the voice notes today in the Telegram channel, my first invitation to you is, what are the things do you think that are actually holding you back? Because if we can actually have a bit of conscious awareness to thinking, okay, so I think this thing keeps holding me back. I keep having these thoughts, or I keep having these beliefs, or I recognize that I heard something a lot growing up, and actually that's made me think, oh, is this playing out in my life somehow, in some way? If you can consciously recognize, okay, these are the things holding me back, your first waking hour of the day is the absolute best time to be able to change that. So let's say you recognize that you feel a little bit limited in your business, and you feel like you've hit an income ceiling, or you feel like you've kind of exhausted your efforts or your audience, and you just feel like, you're a bit capped. And let's say upon this conversation, you're starting to think, right, what did I listen to when I was less than 7 years old? What were the conversations going on? What were the things that I was subjected to? What were the conversations around money in my house? And you recognize, okay, my parents used to fight about money, actually. And, I saw them fighting, I saw them struggling, there was a lot of negative conversations about money. If you recognize, when I was less than 7, there was fighting and there was really difficult conversations about money. The way that I would actually reframe this myself so that I can then use this in my first waking hour of the day is to think, right, is it the ultimate truth that, money is the root of all problems? Is it the ultimate truth that money is the root of all evil? Is it the ultimate truth that if you heard people fighting about money growing up, that it is definitely a bad thing? Now, it's not the ultimate truth. And that is one of the greatest things for you to recognize, is that the beliefs that you have are not even your own. These beliefs have been formed subconsciously based on the actions of others. So when you can say, okay, I know that it is not ultimately true that money is the root of all evil. That was just something I witnessed growing up, but it doesn't have to be my truth. In your first waking hour of every single day, your thoughts can start to shift and align towards, actually, money is a really good thing because it enables me to do so much. It enables me to grow my team, to buy locally, to buy organic food, to support charities, to do amazing things. The more money you make, the more you can be of service to people. So when you recognize the belief that you had, which in this example is, money is the root of all evil because it made uncomfortable situations in the home, and I saw my parents fighting about money all the time. We're then thinking, right, what's the absolute truth? The absolute truth is money isn't the root of all evil. That was just a story that played out in your childhood. And then when we can look at the reframe and we think, right, what is it we want to believe about money? Money is abundant, and with an abundance of money, I can do great things. So every single day in that first waking hour, if you were to read that statement to yourself, write it down, say it out loud, when you're making your tea, your coffee, doing whatever, you can actually start plugging into this, this new story and this belief every single day. So your brain is in the highly suggestible point, and it's just going to absorb that. It doesn't try and question it. It doesn't try and discern it. It doesn't try and pick it apart or be really analytical with it. It's just like, okay. It just absorbs it. Now, one of the greatest things that I came to realize with your mindset as well is that your brain does not know the difference between reality and a story that you tell it. So when you're saying to yourself, money is the root of all evil, it's really difficult to grow my business, people aren't spending, I can't earn a certain amount of money, and you're saying these sorts of things as a story, just on autopilot every single day, your brain doesn't know whether that's true or not, but it just believes it. So it doesn't have the ability to say, that's not true. That isn't true. It doesn't have that ability to disprove something. It just believes. It believes everything that it hears. It believes every thought that you have. So your greatest challenge is to be so mindful of that thought or those thoughts that are going on autopilot throughout your day. Because if your brain believes everything, then why don't you tell it you're fucking amazing? Why don't you tell it business is booming, business is great, business is going to keep growing? Why don't you celebrate yourself? Why don't you be proud of how far you've already come? Why don't you just think, oh my gosh, this is a miracle that I'm here. It's a miracle that I've got this business. Things are great. Like, tell it the things that you actually want to play out in your life. Because the next thing is, so your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and what you tell it. And the next thing is, what you believe is what you achieve. So what story are you telling yourself? And if what you believe is what you achieve, we've got to start shifting those thought processes so that you're telling yourself regularly the things that you want to happen. You're telling yourself things that support you, that celebrate you, that enable you to create what you want to create. Because what you believe is what you achieve. And your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and what you tell it. So we've got to start being really mindful of the thoughts that we're having. We've got to start being really mindful around what's going on in our mind and actually recognizing that your brain just believes everything that you say. It believes the thoughts that you have, and that is what you then achieve. So the difference between successful people that continue to grow regardless of what's going on in the world and those that stifle themselves, cap themselves, have a high month and then a low month, or maybe don't quite have the results that they desire, is the mindset. I absolutely believe that, because that is the foundation of everything that you do. Every offer you create, every piece of content you create, every business decision you make, it all starts in here. So we've got to really work on what's going on in here before we think about the action, before we think about the strategy, which is why this is day one, and the strategy is day three. Once we've really, really worked on the mindset and the story and the thoughts, then you're in a stronger place to create better quality content, higher level offers, and actually really do launches and sales in a way that feels just phenomenal to you. The last thing that I want you to recognize is that your mind is basically split into two. So you've got the conscious part and the subconscious part. And if you were to imagine an iceberg, you've got like the little bit that pokes out the top of the ocean. That's the conscious part. That's the teeny tiny little part that you can see. But it's the subconscious part that is so much bigger and so much more powerful and impactful. So your subconscious part of your mind is about 95% of everything going on in here. And it's the part that holds your thoughts and your beliefs and your habits and your memories and your emotions. That's the part that we really, really want to change. That's the part that actually, when we change that, you're changing your identity at your core. You're changing your belief system. You're changing what has got you to this point. Not from a place of, you're not good enough, so we need to change you, but from a place of, let's look at what has been holding you back. Let's unlock that so that together you can get yourself into a really strong, polished, proud position to then be able to show up. So that your belief system aligns to where you're going, so that your thoughts align to where you're going. Because the truth is, your mind is stuck in the past. If you think about it, your thoughts, habits, memories, beliefs, and emotions are all based on past events. So your subconscious mind is stuck in the past. Where are we going? We're going to the future. We're looking forwards. So there's often that disconnect. So throughout today, we're really going to be discussing this and challenging your perception of this. But what we need to recognize is that actually what got you here is perfect, but what got you here will struggle to get you where you want to go. This is why we've got to do this work and have these conversations. So I want you to be really proud of your mind, of your upbringing, of your past, not beating yourself up, not doubting yourself or questioning yourself or feeling full of regret, because life's too fucking short. But I want us to almost be able to shift and to claim and to really start stepping into the version of us that we know we can be. Now, the final thing before we wrap up the video and then get into the voice note coaching for today is actually really recognizing that your mind actually only has one primary function, and that's to keep you safe. We're going to be talking about this quite a lot, because actually when we think about the things we want to do in our business and we think about what we want to achieve, to your mind, these things might be new. It might be the first time you're trying something, and your mind will say that it's scary. Your mind will say, oh my gosh, is this the right thing for you? Human, this is a really scary move. Do you think it's the right thing? And we've got to be able to keep acting in alignment with where we want to go, not allowing our thoughts and our beliefs to hold us back. So that's what I've got for you to kick off today. I will see you in Telegram for the voice note coaching that's going to take place throughout the day. You will also see under each voice note that I leave that there's an option to leave a comment. So if there's any comments, breakthroughs, realizations, questions, ahas, anything at all, please do pop it in there. Any questions can actually really, really help. I'm more than happy to answer the questions that are relevant to this free coaching experience. And as ever, if there's anything I can do to support, pop it in there. And I'm very much looking forward to the next 3 days with you. So I will see you in Telegram.